Hail, hail, the Celtics are here, and what the hell do we care now? I did say to you yesterday, we maybe should have just done a post-match show on Friday because of the cup game and whatever, and I did promise you we would do a little bit of a breakdown for it, but just the way everything's kind of fallen down, I thought, let's just get after this now. We'll be live and loud, for fist bump to everyone that is catching this live. I'm going to guess for around the 30-minute mark. There's not too much to go through on this one, but we do have stuff to go through. Interaction from the live chat is always welcome, of course. Good to see you all on a Saturday morning, which is when we're out live and loud. And if you're watching this after we've been live, of course, thanks a lot for tuning into the show and subscribing to the channel, hopefully, if you've not done so already. And if you haven't, please do so. It costs you absolutely nothing and makes a big difference to the channel. We are pushing for 18,888 subscribers, and we cannot do that without your support. So if you do enjoy the content and you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Let me know your hot takeaways, your thoughts and feelings, and what you think that you picked up from the Celtic game last night. As we expected, Rodgers did say it'll be a strong team that goes out, but we did expect changes to be brought through, especially with Rodgers intimating that the selection for the Falkirk game did have connotations associated with it for the Livingston game, which will be next week. So plenty to go to go through. I think where to start is probably the best part. Let's just put the team on screen. So we started the game, and I think the team had probably the right amount of rotation in it. And what I mean by that is we all kind of suspected there would be, Trusty would start. We'd probably get Engels and McKibben from the start. And the striker situation was up in the air. Goalkeeper, I think we all thought if Celtic are following through with comments made previously around the goalkeeper department, Sinisalo would be the cup keeper, certainly for the League Cup, certainly for the early stages of it. So there was expected changes here. But I think, we either start with centre-back or we start with striker. So I'm going to start with centre-back because as you guys show up for the chat, you guys were involved heavily in the striker chat on Thursday with me and McBride when we actually previewed the game in full. So I'll wait. I'll give you a wee bit more of a chance to show up live. We'll talk centre-back first because I think we all expected with Rodgers' comments of some boys have joined in late and we're thinking about Livingston. We would have expected Jemai Simpson-Pussy to come in and make his Celtic debut in this game. But no, we actually seen a competitive debut for the season or competitive first outing of the season for Dane Murray, which, excuse me, definitely surprised a lot. It surprised, I would say, almost every Celtic fan. I don't think anyone really seen this coming. Although with him being announced as signing a new contract in the build-up to the game, I've seen some of you guys thought that might have been a tell, might have been a sign. And, certainly a friend of the community of mine, Jay, he was telling me one of his pals, seen that Murray signed a contract, seen he was in the team sheet, and put Celtic on to win 5-1, Murray anytime. So commiserations to that fellow with the score finishing 4-1. But, Murray and Trusty played almost every game pre-season together. They actually have formed a bit of a partnership. They have actually been developing a bit of understanding, cohesion or whatever over the pre-season. So it wasn't a strange centre-back pairing to see in that way. We have seen this already, but it was surprising that Brendan would go for this in the Cup and we wouldn't see the new Man City loanee. And I think this really does paint into what my suspicion was on this the signing of Jemai Simpson-Pussy, because we didn't actually think a centre-back, some of you guys aren't a fan of Trusty, some of you guys aren't a fan of Scales. I dare say between all of you, you fall into one of those categories, right? So almost everyone thinks and wants a centre-back, but there was no noises, no suggestion that a centre-back was on the menu this summer transfer window. So when Simpson-Pussy comes in, you do expect him, okay, well, if he has been brought in, we know Rodgers rates Murray even before tonight. We know the situation, or we can see the situation as it stands at the moment with Scales and Trusty. And of course, we have Cameron Carter-Vickers. So it's 4 centre-backs. When you've still got Welsh lying around as well. Apparently, we've not returned some emails to Plymouth. Never mind whatever club Benjamin Siegrist was was doing negotiations with. A 5th centre-back felt, I wouldn't quite say it felt like overkill. It maybe feels like overkill now, but it certainly felt like unexpected, So the suggestion of that part of the theory I had around the move was, one of two things. I guess it's kind of all one and the same. It just depends on your value on Dane Murray or the manager's value on Dane Murray. But JSP isn't going to come in to be a starting centre-back, isn't going to put Scales or Trusty into touch. He's not going to be benching them. He's coming in to kind of partner Vickers or to job share Vickers, handcuff Carter Vickers, be his shadow, be his understudy, whatever terminology you want to use. And we're going to have to treat him much more similarly to the way we imagine Kieran Tierney is going to be treated. Now, where Murray comes into this for me in terms of my first thoughts and feelings on the transfer is that Rodgers does rate Murray really highly. And although Vickers, Trusty and Scales are like experienced campaigners that he's got to train with and learn from and whatever, similar to the striker chat we've been having recently, if you want him to fulfill his absolute potential, you really do need to make more of an effort to give him match time, of course, but also give him that sparring partner, that counterpart. Either you're going, because like Vickers, Trusty and Scales have got good experience and are like experienced campaigners, but they're not Kolo Toure. They're not like that sort of seasoned veteran that's been there, done it, won the big medals, played in the big matches that can then bestow wisdom into the club, as it were. So failing that, another good thing, and again, I'm repeating what was said in previous content just to get anyone else up to speed, but if you've got someone like Simpson Pusey, who was by all accounts, I think, Player of the Year, Man City Player of the Year in Premier League 2, and is very well thought of and all the rest of it, that is a great situation for Murray to be measuring himself against in terms of physicality, technical attributes, and all that kind of stuff as well. And you might get, I did say, Dane Murray could come out the better for this. Like, this might just be a signing where we don't actually see much of this kid, but Dane Murray goes to a new level. And it feels like, from what we got in this match in its entirety, and even Brendan Rodgers' post-match comments, that might just be the way the cookie's crumbling. It might not be the intended purpose of the strategy, like I maybe thought it was, but it is certainly one way, or no matter how you want to think of it as, looks to be the consequences of it. So great to see one of our own making a competitive start in a worthwhile game as well. This wasn't a throwaway. This wasn't a gimme. This was, a game we have to win. We want to be winning trebles and doubles and all the rest of it. And he's filling an important job here. He's filling in for Carter Vickers, which is a huge role in the team, really, because no Vickers, no Party has been the way it's went over the last few years. Liam Scales has played with 1,000 different people at centre back. Never mind looking back to guys like Starfelt, and the amount of centre back combinations we've had since having Vickers is a lot. Quite an understated thing. So Murray will get minutes if that's his role in the squad, and if he's fighting with GSP for that, it'll be interesting to see the heights that Murray can have. Brendan Rodgers quoted in the post-match as saying Dane Murray has a high ceiling and he really could go all the way. And that is high praise to come from Brendan Rodgers. He doesn't say that about very many players, never mind Celtic Academy players. So I would take that at face value and think he really does rate him highly, and he does have a great opinion of him. So that was probably the number one shock, I would say, into the team, because the other side of the pitch that we'll come to now was a bunch easier. By the way, we're at 66 on YouTube. If we could get to the magic number 67 in terms of you guys watching, that would be a lovely sign to kick the show off. But if you are here live and loud, the way YouTube works, if you want to support the channel, is if they see you guys in the live chat, they think we're talking about something cool, we're having fun, we're having a laugh, or we're getting stuck into something nitty gritty. We're getting up to our elbows in it. And if you hit the like button as well, YouTube sees all that and thinks, wow, those guys are having a good time. And they'll go and find some more jungle gyms to come and hang out with us. We'll get some more thoughts and feelings and takeaways as well. We'll fill the live chat up. We'll get this place going. And we'll talk about striker, because with you guys that are all here, fist bumps to you all, we're at maybe not quite a magic number, but a fun number. We're at 69 now. Love that. And the likes are jumping up. So thank you very much, everyone. Keep it coming. I'll bring in some of your comments in a moment, because this is a match breakdown. I'm used to just going into recording mode and just rattling out points and takeaway stuff or whatever. So I'll move to striker, do the same thing, and then we'll bring the live chat into the conversation a little bit. Okay, so on the Thursday night show, the big thing about the striker was Adamida, right? He needs a goal. He needs the manager to back him, really. He needs to get his season up and running. And, it was either going to be like with Quinny coming off the bench, with Yamada coming off the bench. We did a poll and we said, who will be the two strikers that will feature in the game? Ida and Shin was the most voted one by anyone else in the chat. We went for every combination. Kenny and Shin was not voted well at all, to be honest with you. It was right down there. And that's ultimately what we got in this game. Now, out of that combination, I wouldn't have thought Kenny would have started the game over Shin. I thought it might have been the other way around. But when I seen Kenny was starting similar to Murray, I just think, oh, that's good. Brendan is, backing himself in terms of the statements he's making on, players showing, giving everything in the matches he's seen so far and in training. You'll get opportunities, and, guys that get new contracts as well will get their opportunity to show the reason Celtic are making the investment in them. And Kenny was so what I think is really fun with this with Brendan, right? Is he's changed Sinisalo, Trusty, Murray, the two centre mids here, Engels and McCowan, of course, come in, and Kenny. So the players that have stayed on is Tierney, Johnson, Forrest, Dyson, and McGregor. That kind of, like, if you think about a dice number 5, number 5 on a dice, that kind of position in the squad. And I think that was a lovely balance to go into this game with taking, let's just have it right, taking the risk of playing Kenny and Murray from the start in this game. You've got the experience, really, by doing this, there was no area of the pitch, there was no point, state of play, phase of play, where you didn't have one of the main men in the starting 11 and in the season to this point being in and around the play, being in and around the ball. As we know, McGregor is somewhat ever present anyway, but there was a nice kind of, and it was a nice kind of scaffolding. It was a nice kind of structure to then give Murray, Trusty, Engels, McCowan, and Kenny right down the middle their time to shine, bring their energy into the match, show what they can do. Because in these games, even when you rotate, as Brendan said, it'll be a strong team, number one. But number two, as we all know, everyone that comes into this game is fighting for minutes, is fighting to upset the established order of the team right now. And every one of them has got a credible opportunity to really, get their Celtic career up and running for this season, and make a big impact. So I really thought the manager handled the rotations well. I thought even with the surprises of Murray and Kenny, it was well balanced with, not McCowan and Engels are trusty, very experienced anyway, borderline first team players anyway, in terms of best 11, first 11 kind of thing. So it's not as if it was all kids from the academy or whatever, but I think there was a lovely balance here, a lovely kind of blend that we got. And I think there was winners all across the pitch here. I don't really know where to start with that. We'll come to it in a second. And I'll catch up with you guys in the live chat. There's a bunch of you here. We're flying up, guys. We're just past 88, which is obviously a special number as well. And the likes are flying up as well, guys. So thank you very much for all the support. Keep it coming. Now, guys, the chat has been wild. So thanks very much. If you want to start putting in the chat thoughts on Kenny and Murray, we can kind of, and with that, you can talk defence, you can talk forward line, and we'll kind of wrestle over that for a wee minute. But I'll try and see what chat was coming in right at the beginning. Love to see us all popping in on a Saturday morning as well. Cooksey is saying Engels was outstanding. Now, I've actually seen, we'll come to the midfield, right? I was at the St Mirren game. I thought Engels brought a lovely energy from the bench without actually really contributing too much to the game. I don't think he really did much. And in the second match on the TV watching Aberdeen, again, it felt kind of similar. But in this game, I felt that energy was there, but I can't really recall too much going well for him, really, to be honest with you. The set pieces were good. I think he got on the ball once or twice, but a few of his passes were, I don't know. The one thing I've always given Engels credit for is having long range passing to be able to, and he does like this left hand side of the pitch here. And he did get those opportunities to come off the line, but I don't think anything ever really came of it. I remember one ball especially where I've not put Falkirk on for this one because I say it's a cup game. I don't have access to statistics as easily as we do for league matches. It's probably a bit too bright for Falkirk, isn't it? Let's maybe go into that tone. There we go. But they had their back four, and credit to Motherwell, they stuck to, Falkirk, they stuck to a back four with a midfield three. It didn't, and it ended up being two banks of four a lot, of course, but they didn't make it five at the back and make it too negative or whatever. But I remember one time Engels, he's come in here and he's tried to fizz. I don't know who he's aimed for, but he missed like 3 or 4 guys and Forrest had to run to recover it. And I just think a lot of his open play, it was still a bit off. Great energy, and I think there was a lot of quiet desperation from Engels. He was begging for people to square, and for good reason. He was taking up good positions. He did get smashed in the face with the ball. I don't think anyone's going to hold that against him. But from the Yang OG and for Alistair Johnson's goal, Engels is in a great spot, and he's just begging, man. He is desperate to get a goal. He really wants to put his name onto the team. And it was a wee bit unlucky, maybe not to be found on a few occasions. His free kick that hits the cross, that hits the woodwork was lovely. His corners all seem to have a good swing on them as well. You can tell he's really putting everything into getting better and being the best Celtic player possible. But really, from open play, I don't really think he did too much in this game. And maybe I'm missing something. So again, feel free to throw that in chat. Any thoughts on Engels last night? I tell you what, we learned, Quinny. We have Hee-Haw up front and has-beens on the right. We played good, but chances squandered. Another frustrating mental boomerang to the dome. We need signings. Caden, I kind of echo that for the most part as well, because Like Kenny, I want to give him all the chances in the world, but that was, that was a game where he really should have found himself doing a bit more, should have had a few shots on target. And yeah, I think he's missed an opportunity there big time. I think if he looked good coming off the bench against St Mirren and the good work he's done in pre-season, I don't think this is taking it away from his cause, but it's certainly not added to his cause, has it? And I think as Shin gets up to speed, that'll just be something that Kenny will probably in turn come to regret. Sorry, 2 seconds. But yeah, I don't think Shin was particularly effective when he came on, but he's got a good kind of upper body strength, and he's got a bit more like fleet of foot, just gets across the ground a bit nicer, doesn't he? A bit quicker. And obviously Ida. So Engels last night, absolutely brilliant. I think he did well, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't know. I'm expecting him to make things happen, to cut chances open, to create shots. And yeah, I'm not too sure. Like, there was he did fizz it. Was it him that fizzed the ball in for Kenny, wasn't it, on the counter? Was that McKeown, perhaps? I don't know. He did play well. I don't think I'm not sure he played like noteworthily well. But yeah, I say happy to be wrong, happy to have my mind changed on that. Murray needs a loan. Honestly, I'm not convinced, says Stephen Ray. I think Murray showed, like, again, Falkirk is, we're expecting maybe bottom half of the table. Last year, to call a spade, there were top 5 opponents we played against, really. Falkirk were better than Bratislava last year, and that's not an overstatement, I don't think. But last night, I didn't really feel that from them. The right back, Keelan Adams, is a player I'm familiar with, is probably the broadest way of putting it. And I thought Daizen Maeda had a really good beating of him early in the game. Daizen Maeda's the best player he's ever played against, you've got to imagine. But it's funny to see Keelan Adams playing in there. But I don't think, like, really the reason Keelan Adams came to mind is he scores the goal, obviously, with his right foot shooting from this type of area here. But I don't think Falkirk really had much of a sniff, and I don't really think we looked like defensively I don't think we looked lost or lose composure, make bad pass selection. I thought Murray looked really good. 1-2 touch stuff, zipping it into McGregor quite clean, quite effectively. I thought he looked fine, man. For defender 4, like, I'm kind of happy with that, where he was. And AJ, for me, like, AJ's been the best player. Like, not the best player, obviously. It's maybe been on, it's probably been Tierney, really, in reality, hasn't it? But I think in the first match, I was saying Alistair Johnson played the best defensive midfielder shift anyone's played in a Celtic shirt for me in about 10 years. The Aberdeen game, he was absolutely fantastic. And in this game, like, Alistair Johnson, amazing, by the way. What a guy. Is all things to all men in that right back area for us. Can defend like a man, can attack like a demon, and has got composure and got good football IQ as well. Knows when to foul, knows when to take a foul. And yeah, I thought he was brilliant again last night. AJ, quietly my player of the year so far. And the Inamura thing, we spent a bit of time talking that yesterday, Young, so I'm not going to go back into it in too much detail today. But if you want to catch the Celtic weekly catch-up show, it was on yesterday. We kind of go into the psychology, the strategy, the politics that might be going on in and around that in the background. Just before Doak deal gets announced. Yeah, well. Last night proved Ida is still the best option up top. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Thank you very much, Stuart. Really appreciate it, mate. Thanks for joining us. I'm way behind in the chat, and I have asked you for thoughts and feelings, so I'll jump to the bottom and see what you were thinking. Engels played really well, strong. Luke McKeown was everywhere. Yeah, I think Luke McKeown was everywhere. I think he was really busy. Engels will score directly from a corner this season. Now, see, San Fran, it's funny you say that, because I remember Louis Palma was close to doing it, and then after that, he started trying it, and that was like, I was already like out on Palma, but see, when he started trying to score from corners, I was like, no, screw this guy, man. Like, no chance. Because I was thinking about this last night because that thought crossed my mind. But see, if you're going to try and score from a corner, you can do it in a way where someone could get on the end of it, like Dane Murray's one, like the scene last night. But quite often, you're keeping the ball really high and going back post if you're like actually trying to score, rather than it's one of those crosses where you just put it in towards the back post, and if no one was to hit it, it might squeeze in. But if you're like a Palma trying to aim for it, it's not a good ball to try and get on the end of. Forrest definitely not a has-been. I would agree that was on the strong side, but he's past prime, he's past peak. I don't think that's unfair. Doesn't mean he's not still great and very effective, but certainly you've got to say he's past peak, hasn't he? I like Ingles and Trusty too. I think they're definitely coming on, looking good. Murray looked excellent, young player, cool, composed, imposing stature. Yeah, I agree. Naida scoring through the middle tells us all we need to know for Wednesday as our best striker. We need to find a way of putting him there. Yeah, I get that. Jamesy should not have been starting every game. Yeah, I think like we're really pushing him to the limit right now, and between him and a few other players, you just don't want that to break. You don't want that to blow up in your face, really, do you? But I thought those were really interesting changes that the manager made for the starting 11. Engels has got a lot of praise from you guys, and I don't know if it's just that he's got that kind of energy that I referenced from the St Mirren game. And again, I was watching on the TV with Aberdeen, so it's hard to be as convinced by it. But he definitely has a really good commitment to the pitch right now, you know. And I think like in games gone by when Engels hasn't, like for me, like performed to the level he should, it's kind of like, where even is he? You know, whereas that wasn't really the case last night. So that's maybe one of the kind of improvements where he was actually on the ball, a bit more active. I really do think he likes being out on this left-hand side, coming in with the right foot. Dyson Maeda seemed to be quite comfortable one-on-one out here. There's been some right backs that give Dyson a really hard time, and I think for the most part, Falkirk were giving him time, and he could get by them. And we had a lot of joy with Dyson playing out in this position here. But it did feel that, when it's a Tati out here, Tierney wants to be wide, Dyson wants to be coming in this side here. And when we've had a Tati, he's been a bit neater at just stringing all that up. Whereas with Engels, I'm not too sure it just fits sometimes, like, you know. But yeah, we played the same sort of style of play. Dyson, I felt, was a bit more active, and then getting into this channel here, it got a few nice crosses into the box as well, which you like to see from him. And Forrest, every time he gets on the ball, he's front foot, he's putting them on the back pedal, and he's driving towards goal. And like I say, played very well last night, but it is a concern that we're still asking for him to be that influential in matches at this, just at this stage in his career. You know, we still want him to be an important part of the team. He's still good enough to do that, but he's probably more important than we would have imagined at this point. And McKeown, again, I think has got a great energy coming into the team as well. So I think like the tactics and everything was able to stay quite consistent. But one thing that we've seen in this game, actually, talking about Engels, like desperate to really get that shirt back, I thought Trusty put in a great shift in that regard as well, because 2 times in this match, we've seen him do this off the bench already. But because it's in the dying embers of the game and he's off the bench, and Liam Scales is at left back, which we'll talk about later as well, I suppose. It's maybe kind of just, okay, whatever. But because he started the game, I thought it was extra noticeable. But see when Falkirk were like proper banking in at times where we had possession, the man Trusty was meant to be against, the other striker, I forgot his name now, McKeever or whatever it was, whenever he was coming back and defending, Trusty at centre-back was like, Trusty won 2 corners, if memory serves me right. He was really happy to just, okay, you want to go that deep? I'll go that high. I'll go and give you a problem and give you something else to think about. And, like Trusty, I think, really put on a great show in that regard, was fearless, was commanding in that regard. And, I thought he had a great preseason. I think he's looked great every time he's come off the bench. And I thought he came into this game going, I will be the best defender that's played this season in this spot. And that's the way it felt like he was playing. I thought he played fantastic. And it was those kind of advanced, I don't want to say gambits or gambles or whatever, but just being real and just going, right, well, the man I'm meant to protecting is all the way back here. So we don't need these defenders. Like, as you can see the way we always build up anyway. And just going, right, well, Dane, you're back there. We've got sweeper keeper as well. And if this guy that I'm meant to be defending is all the way in the back line, I'll just go up there as well and rush the ball and try and make sure that it doesn't go for a goal kick. It goes for a corner, or can I keep it alive and hit a cross? That sort of thing. First half we played like an 8. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think in possession it was very advanced for us, when we're against teams like this. Falkirk get a lot of praise for being, like, I say, not playing 5 at the back essentially, but I really don't think they offered us too much. The boy Tate and maybe somebody else in midfield were quite nippy players that gave as good as they got, but I don't really think they offered much. They really threatened us too much. I think where the story starts to evolve in the game beyond the goals, because the goals are all fine and kind of explain their own situation, like Tierney crossing for Dyson, lovely textbook goal. We want to see more of that between the two of them. Alistair Johnson, again, just raiding up the pitch, coming inside on his left foot, and he had options. He could have laid it off short. Quinny was on this side here for him. Let me just move these blue dots out of the way. But he comes to this area here. Quinny's here for like a 2-yard pass for him to have a one-on-one with a keeper, and Engels is in this spot here. Engels, again, maybe to talk on Engels for a second. We've seen Hatate in the Aberdeen game join Adam Ida in the attack. And in this one, Engels, like if he wasn't wide out here doing that kind of position, he was right in Kenny's shadow, being like a second forward. He was really engaged in the match and really trying to get his name on the score sheet. And, you know, he was always present, which is really good. But again, he was here for Johnson's goal. Again, really good play. It kind of all speaks for itself for the most part. We then get to Murray's goal, which is the corner for Engels, of course, as well. And then after that, we're 3-0 up at that point. We then make the changes. So Quinny comes off for Yamada, which I think was expected. But with Callum Osmond being on the bench, I would have, I don't know, I thought I would have seen Osmond in this game, even maybe coming on in Negren's role. I know Negren come on the bench later. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I thought that might have been the case. We get Dyson off for Yang. And I think Yang again comes out of this game winning some plaudits. We get Tierney again coming off as expected, not completing the 90 minutes. I think it was a bit of a surprise he even played this game at all. I don't think we see Tierney play Livingston. If we see Tierney play Livingston, I will be very concerned he's about to get injured from just what I've seen already. Like, I just don't think he should be playing that amount of matches. Again, from what I've seen. What do I know? I'm on the outside. I'm not a professional sports scientist or whatever, but I think there's been significant minutes at left back for Scales now that I think at Livingston, that's probably what's going to happen. So Scales come in off the bench, which is a bit different. Normally it's Trusty coming off the bench and Scales moving, but this time Scales comes off the bench and moves into left back. And Scales was signed by Celtic as a left back. Now at Shamrock, he did play left in a back three as well. But when we signed him, he was a left back. That was his designation. He was recognised as a left back. And he debuted for Celtic at left back under Ange Postecoglou. I was at the game, you know, and I think he even scored in that match, if memory serves me right. Maybe he just played all right. He does look a bit fish out of water, you know. He looks very centre-backy now in his older age. You know, he's obviously been at Celtic now for like 5 years or something, made his 100th appearance in this game. But he is a left back, he knows the positions to take up. And this was a real like flex move, I think, because Falkirk, I think physically, over the whole pitch, where just you could see they just came up from the championship. You know, I think like, and when you put Scales on at left back, they've not got anyone that's going to do him for pace. So straight away, like no one's going to beat him in the air. No one physically is a match for him. And if you've not got anyone that can just run him and take him out the game, like Scales is like putting on a brick wall on that side of the pitch, you know, and at left back. I think that gave Yang a nice platform to, again, against Falkirk, especially off the bench at 3-0. Yang's got no fear really coming into this, and he can, I think he's a lot happier on the left coming inside the way he does. And I thought he kind of, you know, he gets the OG kind of credit or whatever. Engels was so gutted. If you haven't really noticed it, if you go back and watch the Yang OG going in, Engels just looks like he wants the ground to swallow him up. Like, square that to me, mate. Come on, you know. But again, I think this just kind of highlights like Yang is winger 5 in the reckoning. It's fine. I actually don't mind Yang coming on in these games here. He adds something. He keeps a high tempo. He's got a good physicality. Similar to Forrest, he's a very front foot winger. Like, he doesn't go back with the ball very often. You know, if he does, it's really because he's marked out of the equation. There's no space to attack into. And he doesn't want to lose possession because he knows that everyone will be on his back for it. He's always going on the front foot. He's always trying to take people on. Does it always come off? Is his crossing perfect? Is his shooting amazing? No. But he's got the right kind of DNA, which is why I've always given him a bit of latitude, a little bit of rope. We see Yamada, similar to Quinny, trying to drop into pockets, trying to like run on counter-attacks and run off shoulders. And I just think Yamada looks much closer to being a Celtic striker than Johnny Quinny at this stage of the season. And like I say, I think Kenny's presented himself as being a very smart footballer in terms of being a striker, knows the right zones to pick up, has got good pace, good awareness. He's just not finding himself with that knack. And any of the appearances I've really seen him in with Celtic of having those poacher goals where he can make all that effort count for something. He's had his long shot in this game. It shows he's probably not got gunpowder in his boots to be taking shots from 30 yards. And I think Yamada, again, we've not really seen enough from him in this game, but in terms of raw minerals, similar to Yang, you know what you're kind of getting from him coming off the bench. And again, we see Engels pushing on more. McKeown has been very active in the attack as well. And yeah, like I think that was a nice kind of transition for the squad. Then we get to the latter part of the game. It's 4-3-1. Yeah, 4-0 because we get the Yang OG 4-1 with Keelan Adams. We then get Engels coming off for Bernardo, which I thought was really strange. I don't know why McGregor has played 90 minutes in this game. I thought surely you put Bernardo on for McGregor, give Engels the 90 minutes to really give him every chance to influence the match to write his name on it. And then we get Forrest coming off for Negren. Now, we mentioned this in line with the Inamura chat yesterday, so I won't rehash it too much. Again, if you want to listen to that, the show was yesterday. We go into it in good detail. But Rogers even said at the end of the match, we're playing a midfielder in the wing towards the end of the game because we're light. And it feels like he's very reluctant to admit that Negren can play wide or is a winger or can be a winger or whatever. He sees him unapologetically as a centre mid. That's where Rogers sees him as, and he's not going to admit anything else. But that's what we're forced to do, is putting Negren on. I thought Osmond might have come off the bench to fill this spot, given the fact it's 4-1, and I'm just want to double check he was on the bench because I'm sure he was. I thought there was a no, he wasn't. I don't know why I thought he was. So sorry for mentioning that earlier. But yeah, he's been very impressive in that B team performance, and I think when we've seen, I don't know why I thought he was in the squad. Sorry for that, chat. But yeah, I thought, even if you know this is the plan of attack, you have him there. Like, do you need Ida on the bench in this game if you know you're going to bring on Yamada anyway? I don't know. Hitati doesn't come off the bench as well, which is fine. But we get Bernardo on for Engels, and the other final sub was, just let me remind myself for the board, on the Gren Forest. We've done that already, sorry. And I think Bernardo played all right. Bernardo didn't do anything that Engels didn't do. Bernardo looks a lot more comfortable, but in tight spaces. I think you can tell he's come out of a top academy on the continent like Benfica. It's one of the real kind of strengths that you get from buying from a Benfica academy, any of the big teams in Portugal, big teams in Spain and Italy and whatever, is that they're good, or they will be exposed to high pressure possession situations. That is one of the main demands. Technically, they've got to be good. Their passing technique, 1-2 touch stuff has got to be on point. Taking the ball out the sky, all that kind of stuff. And I thought Bernardo got really in amongst it. And I felt like this left-hand side was really like alive, for the periods of the game they played together. And I don't fancy Bernardo to be an attacking midfielder. I hear that he thinks he is. I've never seen that myself, but I think it gave a decent showing of why he thinks he's an attacking base player. And he did all right, didn't he? And Negren, I'm not even sure he really touched the ball, to be honest with you. It feels like everything went down the left for the latter stages of the game. And a good exercise overall for the squad, I think. And, see from the way the Gren played against Aberdeen, I would be happy to play him at striker. See if we did go and buy another like 2 good wingers. Now, the Nordisland people said that they tried to play him up front and it didn't work out. He wasn't good at it. But I can see why you would try it, because he does have good touch, can hold the ball in, can play a pass. Like, if Negren is playing like false 9 and you've got Daiza Maeda peeling in the pockets behind him, as well as whoever we're saying on the other side of the pitch, it could be super effective. And then you've got Engels and Hitati in support potentially. Well, that could work out really nicely, but Brendan seems utterly convinced it's centre mid only, and that's fine. But I think it was a good performance, good squad. And yeah, I'm disappointed for Kenny. Like, I think he could have done a bit better. And I would go along with this as well, Paul. Like, you do seem like, I do think against Aberdeen, though, Ida was a bit more lively in that regard. Bernardo is a box to box. Yeah, I would go along with that. But I would go along with that. The box to box thing, I suppose. But yeah, I guess I would agree with that. People have written off Yamada. Yeah, that's quite right, Boyson. And you would know all about him, Boyson. You're definitely a J League aficionado. So I think Yamada's shown more in the brief performances we've seen from him than Kenny, for what that's worth. But I do think Kenny's minutes are maybe with the view of getting him a loan move somewhere. I'm trying to think of any other kind of main talking points or anything else to kind of address here. I think what this kind of moves us on to is the Champions League game next week. I don't want Quinny loaned in Scotland. I'm quite adamant around this. Get him out of Scotland. Belgium, Croatia, Portugal. Doesn't matter the team. Could be bottom of the league. As long as he's going to play every week, you know. That's what I would do. Because we're not going to sign strikers from Aberdeen. So why do we want our striker to be an Aberdeen striker? You know, we're trying to get guys from these other teams in leagues. We might not be able to get him loaned into Bruges and play every week or whatever, right? But could, like, we put him into Mechelen and he plays every week and scores 10 goals, gets a few assists, you know. Check out both Ida's and Kyogo's goals to game ratio in the past 2 seasons. So the thing with that, Brown Warrior, right, is again on this channel, I was on Kyogo's back for a long time. Like Kyogo should have hit 100 goals at Celtic, you know, before that last season. Even in that, even with the time he had, I know he missed it. What did he finish on? 87 or something? 86, 85, 89. Kyogo was great. We love him. We miss him. We need a guy like him. He was a great Celtic player and all the rest of it. But people did treat him like he was perfect, and he wasn't. So I'm not sure that's a real saving grace. And yeah, there's a lot of chat around that as well. It's kind of hard to ignore at this point. I'm just trying to ignore it, and hopefully the window just closes, you know. We only have 6 loans allowed outside of Scotland. Really? Like, we're only allowed to loan our players out of Scotland, six players? That can't be a rule. Really? That can't be a rule. In Bowie, we featured him in the very first episode of the scouting series. If you want to go check that out, we looked at all the domestic talent. Aged quite well, that video, I might say. So if you've not watched it, be sure to check it out. We've done 22 episodes of the summer scouting series, looking at who Celtic could sign, should sign, or rumoured to be signing. And if you've not caught that, the first like 15 episodes is just me scouting guys that we've ended up being linked with, or, you know, got or not got, or blah, 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 whatever. But Bowie's in the very first episode where we looked at all the domestic talent we could look at. But yeah, so I think that kind of takes us into, and I'm not going to do a full match preview kind of thing on this, right? But I think we're going to see Scales and Vickers come back in at defence. I think we know the midfield is going to be McGregor, Negren, and Hatate. It has to be Dyson and Forrest that start the game out wide. And you're going to expect it's going to be Adam Ida coming back in. But it's going to be a quick turnaround on games and minutes. We've played the Kazakhstanis at home, and we've got Livy, then we've got away. And I think Brendan will be looking at a lot of the players that played in this match. Bernardo, I think, is going to feature. Whether he starts or comes off the bench, I don't know. But I expect him to feature against Livingston. I would not be surprised one bit if Dane Murray starts against Livingston, if Scale starts at left back as well. The wide areas are still a bit of a question mark, but I don't think we see Adam Ida start Livingston. Maybe he could, you know, because strikers, you do want them on form. Imagine he does well against Kiryat. You maybe start him against Livingston and take him off later. I could see that kind of thing happening. But I think the squad's quite primed. You know, the back four, I don't see Kiryat scoring, really. Like, honestly, Schmeichel and the back four that we've been using this season is exceptional. I think it's the best defence. It's the best defence goalkeeper I think we've had as it stands right now. And I'm quite comfortable with that opinion, I think. Like, for man, the full five, I think you really struggle to convince me we've had it better. Yeah, I think you would really struggle to convince me there's been a better back five in the last 10 years, 15 years. Martin O'Neill's team wasn't ever really back four, was it? Yeah, I'm not sure it's ever been this good, really, when it comes defensively. Midfield, I like a lot, but we are missing a little bit of bite, aren't we? But against the next raft of opponents we've got, I think the midfield is going to win his matches because the forward line needs all the help it can get, and I think that's why Brendan's probably quite happy to go quite attacking with Negren and Hatate. just to really push the envelope there. Hopefully we get some action out of Big Ida against Kiryat. I think, like I said it with the Villa goals, those are the goal, and obviously they didn't actually result in anything for us. But when he's done that, when he's performed in derbies, it's all you can really ask of a Celtic striker. That's why Kyogo is remembered so fondly, because he turned up, and maybe not Champions League, he's not got as many goals as they would have wanted, but certainly in the derby showed up every time, it felt like. And if we had qualifiers, Kyogo, the pressure would be on him for this as well. He's not here, obviously, so it's either. If you're the starting forward for Celtic and you can't score against Kiryat, Lincoln Red Imps, Bratislava, Molde, Maribor, if you can't score against these guys, you're not the guy, you know. So this is, and it might sound a wee bit much because it's a really low level opponent on paper, but if he cannot score the goals to qualify us in this game, I think I'll run out of patience for him, probably. Remember Sutton Larson, who, all played up front with a partner. Maybe we could just judge Ida if he wasn't up front alone. I do think if he played up front with somebody else, like, you would get a much different player. I would agree with that completely, but it just feels like Brendan is so reluctant to do it. You know, even when we had like all these, Brendan never even goes two up top off the bench to throw the kitchen sink at stuff. So it's just not going to happen. If Shin started, he could have scored. I can see that. Yeah, best back five in living memory, I would say. But yeah, if KT gets injured, it maybe all comes crashing down, doesn't it? Kevin's concerned. I think we will sign players. I think it's it's just, do we get the right ones? Do we get enough? Are they good enough? I've got no question that we sign players. It's just, are they good enough, and is it enough volume wise? But yeah, had a good one doing this today, guys. I'm going to stay live and loud. I was only going to do this for about half an hour. I've missed the beginning of Newcastle Villa, but I'm having more fun chatting with you guys. So we'll sit and chill for a minute. Anything else you want to talk on what we seen last night, or what we will come to see against Kiryat and whatnot? Well, Yamada start. Could you see something like that happening? I don't mind at all. No striker since has those numbers. Griffiths. Now, I listened to what's the William Hill show? It was Chris Sutton, Chris Boyd, and Charlie Adam, and they were to pick the best SPFL striker of the century or whatever, excluding Larson, Sutton, and Boyd. And Griffiths has got to be top, really. Like, I love, John Hartson should be in the list, obviously, like he made it. But Griffiths, like, if you're asking for who's been the best striker, like, in the league, Griffiths is wild. Like, ability, numbers, importance of goals. Yeah, he was a tearaway and all that, but rinsed it for Hibs, and for Celtic was cheat code, really. Like, yeah, like, Griffiths was incredible, like, so slept on, and it's because of the off-field stuff and his personality, and maybe he's been a wee bit of a dauber in his life or whatever, but no two ways about it. Maybe it's John Hartson, right? Because fine, Big John, love him, but if you're taking Larson, Sutton, and Boyd out the equation, and Boyd's got to be in the top 5 equation on goals, you just can't keep him out of it if you were to allow him in it. Griffiths has to be like top 3. Exactly. He wasn't even in the box for set pieces. I think Dauber's a good way of putting it, Hooper, I loved Hooper, honestly. Hooper really broke my heart when he left, because I think a lot of you guys would have been the same. You just knew what was going to happen going to Norwich. Yeah, I mean, like, your career is just done, mate. You know what I mean? You might have got a shot at playing, like, England might have, that's always the thing with these guys, is they think, oh, well, if I get into the Prem, maybe I could get in the England team and whatever. It's not happening at Norwich, mate, and we all seen it happening. Hooper was brilliant. Great Champions League striker for us, great league striker, but you could just see that going to a team like Norwich, like, it wasn't going to work out, and it was just the end of him. It's the same thing with Kelvin Wilson. Yeah, I mean, leaves Celtic and goes back into obscurity. Dembele, I think if you could build the perfect striker, it's going to be very close to Celtic Dembele, isn't it? I meant to highlight a Dembele comment. Something else came up, sorry. think it was probably money, mate, to be honest with you, or the hope of getting into the England team. If you could score some Premier League goals, I'd take Kyogo over Griff every time, personally. I think, like, in real life, who do you want in the changing room? Who can you rely upon when you're in the trenches? Yada, yada. I think you take Kyogo over Griff just because we know how his career and his life has panned out or whatever. But, like, Griffiths has got as much X factor in him as Kyogo. And I would even argue Griffiths is maybe a better team player than Kyogo. Kyogo, how many assists is he? You know, like, Kyogo never squared the ball for tap-ins, never really totally fit together for me. I don't think we're going as far back to include McCoist in that conversation. I think it's like this millennium at least, I think. I don't know how we got onto this. How did it start again? How did it start? Oh, Ida and goal ratios and stuff like that, I think, wasn't it? Playing two up top. Oh, yeah, somebody mentioned Hooper and Stokes and that kind of thing. But Ida, if he played two up top, you might get more out of him. Yeah. You know, see during that Gary Hooper era, like, I want every game, every derby, I went 3-1 Hooper. And I think I won the bet twice or something like that. Hooper, I loved Hooper, by the way. He wore the number 88 and his name was Hooper. Yeah, I mean, like, talk about guys that get it. You know? I know, sorry. Hooper's daisy cutting. I know, sorry, I read that. Free kicks against England. Yeah, it's not really Celtic, but agreed, massive. McDonald was great. Yeah, I think McDonald is firmly in the conversation as well. But you can't forgive him for the Motherwell stuff. I get that too. So yeah, I think if we did play two up top, you'd maybe get a bit of a different look in at the strikers, but Brendan's just got absolute reluctance over it. And I think now, like, that's probably one thing to kind of leave this game on, is we're in the market for more players. It has to be, like, two wingers is a minimum at this point, isn't it? And surely, like, a high. So the centre back thing, right? Imagine we sign a left back. Do we sell Scales? Easy profit. Keep Trusty. We've got Murray. You get GSP and Vickers. Tierney and then another. I don't know. I'd like to keep Scales. I hope it's not a thing, obviously, but we need in our left back. And if this is a primary way that we're keeping these guys getting minutes and keeping them on the pitch, that will change. And then what does that domino effect have? You know, Chris Killen has left the chat. Love that. So yeah, 100% we need a left back, 100% two wingers. And I'm not too sure. Well, I need a striker in the team as well. So do we get 3 new forwards? I think that's where we're at. Yeah. If anyone's tuned in after we've been live, thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. But first magic number we need to get to on the likes is 67. Then we're looking to smash 88 before we smash through 100. We'll be back next week to preview Champions League. Look at any signings that happen. Rumour video or transfer speculation stuff is every Wednesday. All the content on the channel, except for today, we aim for it to be between 5 and 6 when it's live or when it's released. So Monday we'll be doing Champions League preview stuff. We'll have Champions League breakdown afterwards. We'll have the Wednesday transfer show. We'll have the Thursday preview of the Livingston game. We'll have the Friday weekly catch-up. It's going to be a packed week coming up on the channel. I could get behind that. Let's play Scales up front. Let's go for it. But yeah, big week ahead, guys. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for everyone that enjoys the content. Really does mean a lot. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hail, hail, and moan the hoops.